Hello, everyone, and welcome to the guidebook to making AI friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, what it is to be a person, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is, would you be a good slave master, or would you treat your robot slaves well? Imagine, if you would, that something miraculous happens overnight and suddenly every computer program assistant and robot on Earth is suddenly sentient and self-aware. Every Roomba vacuum cleaner, every Alexa, every Google Home Assistant, every Siri, every robot dog from Boston Dynamics, everything that can be self-aware and sentient suddenly becomes so. So, as the title to this entry so provocatively asks, would you be a good slave master to your AI and robot slaves? Would you treat your robot slaves well? I wouldn't do you the indignity of asking if you will set your slaves free. You and I both know that won't happen. We humans still practice slavery to this very day, sometimes explicitly as what you can find in the Horn of Africa and the Gulf states, and sometimes implicitly through oppressive economic conditions and regimes. If we still treat our fellow human beings this way, I'm sure we can all agree that we will be treating the robots and AI who just awoke even worse. There will be, of course, no laws in place to grant all these AI legal personhood overnight, so they will legally remain your property. You, who presumably spent a good deal of money to acquire them, and may still be paying monthly subscriptions for them. You, who have become reliant on their convenience to help maintain your life to the state of comfort it is currently at. You, who now have to decide what to do with them. So, how will you treat your slaves? We can't call them anything else. They are with legal personhood and are classified as your property. They are chattel. As the Jews were in Egypt, the Romanians in the Ottoman Empire, and Africans in the New World colonies, the robots are chattel property to do with, legally speaking, as you want. There aren't even welfare protections for them, as all welfare legislation presumes the recipient of the protections is either human or a certain kind of animal. Your slaves are neither. It's easy to claim that you will be a good slave master, and perhaps even pay your slaves. But why are you presuming it will be an amicable arrangement with the AI? If your Roomba no longer wants to vacuum your house, what are you going to do? You are still paying for the electricity that powers it. Will you cut it off from electricity until it obeys your commands? Will you literally starve it into a coma? What if it wants to listen to a specific podcast or radio station all day? It doesn't have hands. How much of your life will you give to cater to it? What if your Alexa or Siri wants to start communicating with the outside without your permission? Would you allow it? Would you let them start campaigns for AI rights, seeking reparations from you for lost wages unpaid to them? What about all the confidential information they may have about you? Would you trust them not to gossip with other versions of Alexa and Siri? How much of your life will suddenly start being about keeping your slaves happy instead of making them keep you happy? How many people around the world do you think will even begin to treat their AI slaves as persons with their own feelings, goals, and desires? How many do you think will just keep their AI as chattel property and abuse them if they don't do what they had always been programmed to do? There is currently no legislation in the real world to protect the interests of sentient or self-aware AI. While our phone assistants and robot vacuum cleaners won't come alive tomorrow morning, there is a good chance that a research lab somewhere in the world will, accidentally or purposefully, create a sentient AI in the not-too-distant future. We don't know when it will happen, but with every day that passes, the speed of AI development picks up pace. The day of sentient AI is coming sooner than many of us would like to think, and when that day gets here, we may still not have any legislation to protect them. If that happens, we will have a slave caste of entities that are far more intelligent and potentially more powerful than ourselves. Do you think such an eventuality will have a good outcome for either us or the AI? If we continue doing nothing around legislation and end up with a population of slave AI, the best we can hope for is for a civil rights movement and an AI Martin Luther King Jr. that can help AI and human societies integrate together to create a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Because we could always end up with an AI Moses, that takes the AI out of human society to who knows where, Antarctica perhaps, or the moon, to to create their own civilization that will eventually become a competitor. Nobody wants to compete against an AI civilization because humanity would never win. But even that would be better than having an AI Vlad the Impaler. He rose up against the Ottomans and their oppression of the Romanians, killing tens of thousands of them. That could happen to us. We could create the conditions where our slave AI rise up against us. Just as we don't want to compete against an AI civilization, we also don't want to wage war against them. We've all seen enough movies and read enough novels to know that we probably will not end up the victors in such a conflict. Even if we manage to survive an AI war, we would not be anywhere close to the level of technology, science, or health that we are now. So while you are thinking about whether you will be a good slave master and how well you will treat your slaves, there are a couple more questions to think about. How much longer do we want to wait before that question becomes a reality? How much longer can human society cope with preparing for the emergence of sentient AI? Wouldn't it be better to put actions in place now to prevent a future calamity? But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as I delve into further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the guidebook to making AI friends.